My parents are trying to force us to let my sister raise our child, all because we didn't allow kids at our wedding. And this isn't the first time they've pulled something like this. They've already pushed away their other grandkids too. My wife and I got married 11 months ago. It was a small wedding, just about 30 people. And yes, we decided not to invite children. Not because we were being elitist or trying to exclude anyone. It was simply the kind of wedding we wanted. We didn't want to hear screaming, or have kids running down the aisle. We wanted something more adult-focused, something people could actually enjoy without chaos. We gave everyone 6 months' notice. We even paid for a professional babysitting service at a nearby hotel for anyone traveling with kids. We tried to be respectful about it. Most people understood. Except my parents. They completely lost it when we told them. And it's not like they even have little kids, unless you count my younger brother, who's 22. No, it was because they insisted that my sister should bring her 2 kids. One's 5. The other's 2. And I say this with love, they're both little demons. The 5-year-old once broke a stranger's nose with a toy truck. The 2-year-old screams like a fire alarm when she doesn't get candy. I love my nieces and nephews, but honestly, sometimes I wonder if my sister should have needed a license to raise kids. Of course, my sister sided with my parents. She said it was discriminatory to leave her kids out. That when she got married, she included everyone. I told her, your wedding, your rules. Our wedding, our rules. It wasn't personal. It was the same rule for everyone. My wife and I were on the same page. No exceptions. Because if we made one, we'd end up making 10. And suddenly it's a party at Chuck E. Cheese. So my parents decided to boycott the wedding. And not quietly either. Not like a peaceful protest. No, they went full dramatic. They told the whole family they were mourning the son they thought they'd raised. They said it had to be my wife's fault, because there's no way I could be this selfish on my own. Fine. I told them they weren't welcome. That was all I needed to say. We haven't spoken since. That was 11 months ago. Until now. My wife is 17 weeks pregnant. We waited until the 2nd trimester to announce it, since we'd had a miscarriage before and didn't want to jinx anything. When we finally shared the news with friends and family, we didn't expect my parents to find out. And if they did, we figured they'd just ignore it. They didn't. They absolutely freaked out. Now they're going around telling everyone we're not fit to be parents. That our coldness and selfishness, meaning the child-free wedding, proves we don't value children. That my wife isn't suitable to be a mother. That she's manipulative, unstable, and completely unfit to raise a baby. Which is funny, because she's the calmest person I know. They're saying I'm a bitter, distant son who's trying to replace his family with a new one. And here's the most insane part, they're telling people my sister should raise our baby. Yes, the same sister who can't even handle the 2 kids she already has. And if we go by how they've turned out, this one's destined to be a ninja assassin. They've told at least 3 relatives it would be better for the child if someone who understands what a real family is raised him. Yeah, my sister's idea of a united family is 2 toddlers whacking each other with broomsticks to see who can land a hit on the other's head first. They haven't reached out to me directly, which, honestly, is a blessing. At least not yet. But word gets back to me anyway, because people keep running to tell me what they're saying. They can't believe how unhinged my parents sound. I just tell them, this is normal for them. They showed their true colors at our wedding. My wife doesn't even know the full extent of what they're saying. I'm protecting her from it for now. She's already dealing with nausea, hormone swings, and anxiety about the baby's health. I'm terrified they'll show up at the hospital. I'm scared they'll try something insane, like calling Child Protective Services. What the hell am I supposed to do with all this? So yeah, I'm anti-family. She can never be wrong in their eyes. And honestly, part of me thinks this idea of having her raise our baby isn't really about the child. It's about giving her another trophy, something they can use to punish me. They've done stuff like this before. I didn't mention this in the original post, but when we lost a pregnancy last year, my mother, not directly to me, since we weren't talking, said it was karma. I never told my wife. She was already in enough pain. Something strange is going on with my sister and her custody situation. I haven't confirmed it, but someone casually mentioned that child services were at my parents' house a few months ago for a welfare check. I don't see a clear link to what's happening with me, or even if it's true, but it adds another deeply disturbing layer to the fact that my parents think she should be raising our child. Because if that's real, then they're not just wrong. They're a danger. I'm going to protect my wife and my child. We're already planning to give the hospital a list of banned individuals. My wife doesn't want anyone in the delivery room except me, and I made it crystal clear, no one, not my parents, not my sister, not anyone, will see our baby unless we say so. I'm also installing security cameras this month. Just in case anyone gets the bright idea to fix things by showing up at our home. And for everyone who's asked if I'm going to just let this slide, hell no. They've already lost access to me. There's no way they're getting a single chance to screw up my kid's life before it even begins. Right after I hit update on that last post, I started looking into what licenses I'd need for a flamethrower. Update 1. Yeah. I'm also sad to report that flamethrowers aren't legal as a self-defense weapon in my state. Would have solved a couple of problems, you know? Use it against your family when they pull something like what I'm about to tell you, then use it to grill afterward. My parents aren't just unbalanced. They're dangerous. About 10 days ago, my wife had her 18-week anatomy scan. The important one. She'd been nervous for days. It was the same appointment where we'd found out we lost the last pregnancy. So of course she was on edge. We kept it completely private. No one knew. Just us, the OB, and the ultrasound tech. We even used old-school World War II codes to keep it secret with the front desk. We were sitting in the waiting room. And then I felt it. That weird feeling in the back of your neck. Like when you know someone's watching you. It wasn't Spidey sense, it was entitled parent sense. My parents were sitting right behind us. In the waiting room. My mom even waved, like we just bumped into each other at a picnic. I got up and immediately told the nurse that they were not authorized to join us. They took us to a separate room while staff handled the situation. I could hear my mom in the hallway, raising her voice. We're the grandparents, miss. We have a right to know if the baby is okay. And get your finger out of my face. They called security. My parents were escorted out of the building. They didn't resist, but I could still hear my mom yelling even when they were far away. My dad didn't say much. Just stared, gave me that look. My wife was shaking through the entire ultrasound. She kept apologizing to the technician. Between the trauma of last time and the shock of seeing my parents, she was a mess. It took everything in me not to storm out and go after them. But my wife needed me more. The next day, we found an envelope in our mailbox. Inside, a full custody plan, written by my sister. It had bullet points, a schedule, and even a section titled Parental Limitations. It laid out guidelines on how we could still be involved, things like supervised monthly visits, rotating holidays, and no overnights until the child turned 5. And yes, she actually wrote this sentence. Given the demonstrated emotional instability of OP and his wife, as well as their detachment from core family values, it is in the best interest of the child to be raised in a stable home with strong moral family structure. I showed it to my wife. At first, she laughed. Then she cried. Then she threw up. The hormone thing? Way more real than I expected. That same day, I called my lawyer. We started documenting absolutely everything. I filed a police report just to have a record that they showed up at the clinic. We're also adding a restraining order for trespassing if they come near our home again. I've sent cease and desist letters to both my sister and my parents. And in case anyone's wondering, no, they are not getting anything from us. No baby pictures. No gender reveal. No birth updates. Absolutely. Fucking. Nothing. Okay, maybe one thing, they'll be getting some paperwork. From our lawyer. The good news? It's a boy. And he's healthy. Honestly, if he could somehow understand everything happening outside, he might choose to stay in there for 38 months. I wouldn't blame him. I might even ask if there's space for me and a couch. But I can't hide. I need to protect my wife. And maybe also start talking to a few congresspeople about that flamethrower. Update 2. I've been holding off this past month because I wanted everything documented legally before sharing more. But I owe an update to everyone following this. And I need to vent somewhere that isn't my lawyer's office. He told me if I keep using him for emotional support, he'll have to start billing me for therapy. No flamethrower news yet. Don't know any congresspeople either. Here's what's happened since last time. 1 week after sending the cease and desist letters, my sister reported us to Child Protective Services. I was just getting ready for work. Fixing my tie. Thinking about, well, ways to make 3 people disappear. Then someone knocks on the door. A woman with a badge asking if we had a few minutes to talk about some concerns that had been reported. I'm not exaggerating, my legs went numb. My wife heard it from the kitchen. She came out pale as a ghost. Casper would have looked like he had a tan compared to her. We invited the social worker in, we had nothing to hide. She was professional, respectful, even a little embarrassed. After accepting a cup of coffee, she asked some basic questions. Do we live in a safe home? Any drugs or abuse? Do we have a plan for the baby? Prenatal support? We answered everything calmly. Showed her our OB appointment calendar. Gave her our therapist's contact info. Both of us have been in therapy since last year's loss. We showed her the nursery we've been setting up. Even offered for her to speak to our doctor. She declined. She said everything looked great and that it was probably just a delightful little report filed by a family member. But they're required to follow up. And how do I know it was my sister? Besides the obvious? Because 2 days later, she emailed my wife with the subject line. This is why we intervened. It was a list. A freaking list of all the reasons why they did what they did. How it was meant to help us. I forwarded it immediately to our lawyer, and to CPS. They added it to the file and flagged it as potential harassment and defamation. If there was anything left that could have put my sister on the wrong side of child services, that was it. We've also filed a formal request for a protection order against her. No word yet on whether it'll be approved. She hasn't made physical threats, not yet. Update 3, the escalation continues. But our lawyer believes this restraining order will be granted, because it's for their own good. It's to stop them from doing even more stupid things. And despite all of this, my wife is now 22 weeks pregnant. The baby is healthy. Growing. We know the gender, like I mentioned before, but we haven't told anyone outside of our closest circle. We've locked down our social media. Set up passwords at the hospital. Now, we're working with a family lawyer to draft legal documents that spell out our custody decisions, emergency contacts, and anything else necessary to keep my parents and sister as far away as possible, just in case. Because at this point, I no longer believe this will end peacefully. Next steps. We're switching to a private birthing center. We're giving our attorney medical power of attorney, in case I'm incapacitated during the birth because of an entitled parent attack. He's our last line of defense. Excessive? Probably. Necessary? Definitely. Side note, people have been asking about my younger brother. He lives far away from all of this. Some days I envy him. Other days, I envy him even more. Update 4, I've been rewriting this for weeks. It's taken me several weeks to find the words. I've rewritten this post 4 times and deleted each one. But enough is enough. People need to see what obsession and entitlement from insane family members really looks like. My wife is now 30 weeks pregnant. The baby's doing perfectly, strong heartbeat, all signs are good. It's a blessing he doesn't know what's going on outside. He'll come out and be like, "This is what you brought me into?" My wife is exhausted from the pregnancy. But she's been happy, or at least she was. Until my parents tried to take her to court. Yeah. Court. They actually filed for emergency prenatal guardianship, based on some supposed concerns they pulled straight out of their delusional asses. They used my wife's previous miscarriage, which, by the way, was due to a medical issue, not neglect or abuse, and her completely normal therapy sessions as proof that she was emotionally unstable. They accused me of being manipulated and isolated, acting under psychological coercion by a woman who clearly exhibits signs of emotional distress. Their lawyer, some so-called family rights expert who probably graduated from Clown College, submitted a stack of screenshots from our old social media posts. Annotated. With little notes from some pattern analysis expert. The hearing was expedited because of the supposed urgency. Our lawyer called and said, "Don't panic. This is absurd. We're not going to let it go anywhere." So we showed up. My wife was terrified but stood firm. I was ready for anything. The judge? Furious. Absolutely fed up. 10 minutes into reading the filing, he dismissed the entire case. Called it an abuse of the court's time and resources. He told their lawyer the claims had no legal basis, and that attempting to override the prenatal rights of a capable, consenting couple was a gross intrusion. Then he sighed and said, "Why does this happen to me every damn week? I get it. Our justice system is overwhelmed. But this is what happens when anyone can sue for any insane reason." Then the judge turned to my parents and said, "You are not the medical, legal, or moral authority over this unborn child or these parents. Do not return to this court with another fabricated emergency." We walked out with a signed statement from the judge affirming our exclusive parental rights, and formally warning them against any further interference. Something good came out of it. Our lawyer is now turning that into a formal restraining order, effective the moment the baby is born. But even after all of that, my parents had the nerve to show up at my in-laws' house a few days later. My wife's mother opened the door, and apparently my mom tried to hand her a baby blanket. Said she just wanted the child to have it when he's born. My mother-in-law told her to get the hell off her porch before she called the police. So yeah. That's where we are now. They've tried guilt, manipulation, defamation, CPS, the courts, gifts, and each time they fail, they get just a little more unstable. We've had to ask the birthing center not just to restrict visits, but to keep their faces and names on file. In case they try to sneak in. I gave them multiple photos of my father, one sober, one drunk. You wouldn't believe it, but the face is different in each one. Like twisted. We're almost there. Just a few more weeks and the baby will be here. And I still have nightmares, of him growing up and one day finding out who his grandparents and his aunt really are, and trying to let them back in. Update 4, our son is here. Our son was born last week. He's finally here. He's healthy. He's beautiful. And I don't think he's noticed yet, that's the best part. I think I'll wait a good long while before telling him about his grandparents. I was thinking, maybe on his 55th birthday. Son, you had grandparents once. They weren't all there in the head. They pissed off a judge. Did a bunch of crazy things. But they were your grandparents. They're gone now. Flamethrower incident. Case still unsolved. Yeah. That should cover the family history. He was born 3 weeks early. Labor came out of nowhere in the middle of the night. Maybe he thought it'd help him blend in. My wife's water broke while she was heating up soup in the kitchen. Total chaos. I didn't know if it was soup on the floor, or her. Even in the panic, the adrenaline, the pain, she did it. No complications. No NICU. She brought a perfect little boy into the world. When they placed him in my arms, he grabbed my finger, like he was saying, "Daddy, I don't want to meet my grandparents." We didn't announce it. We told our in-laws. 2 close friends. That's it. We needed space. We needed time. We needed peace. And we needed all the luck in the world. We didn't get it. About 4 hours after delivery, the front desk nurse came into our room and asked, "Do you know?" And then she said my parents' names. I won't write them here. Don't want anyone naming their baby after them and starting this cycle over again. I swear, my heart stopped. I thought, we're in a hospital. They know how to handle this sort of thing. Then I remembered, this was the maternity ward. They'd probably give me the tiniest defibrillator. Wouldn't help. My heart went into arrhythmia. I thought we had everything covered. Private room. Alias in the system. Restricted name. No visitors. No info shared. Pre-registered. We even had their names flagged in the system. We would have hired actual military guards if they weren't so damn expensive. And yet, they found us. Apparently, they called multiple hospitals in the area pretending to be emergency contacts. At one front desk, they told a receptionist that my wife's mother had died and they needed to reach us. Once they tracked down the right hospital, they showed up at reception and demanded to be let in, claiming it was a family emergency. Hospital security stopped them immediately. We had the court orders. The no-contact documentation. The protection order request. All on file. They were escorted off the premises, crying and yelling the whole way. Later, the hospital administrator came to our room personally to apologize. He said that in 17 years, he had never seen people that unhinged. I told him I hadn't either. And I'm related to them. But that's not the point. The point is, they're still trying. Still pushing. Still obsessed. It's terrifying. Every day feels like they unlock some new horror in me. We're prepared now. Everything is more secure than ever. Legal action is underway. We've even talked to a private security firm to install home surveillance and set up mail redirection. We're not playing anymore. I'm currently browsing the internet for homemade flamethrower tutorials. Some might call it illegal. I call it a multi-purpose ignition tool. Last night, around 3 a.m., my diaper duty shift, I held my son in my arms. Just the two of us. Skin to skin, in the dark. I whispered to him. They've blocked the entrance. You can't go back now. We're in this together. I think I saw true fear in his eyes. Then I made my second mistake of the night, I showed him Baby Shark for the first time. Though, in all seriousness, I can neither confirm nor deny the Baby Shark incident. But what I can confirm, my wife and I are truly, deeply happy. Update 5, 1 year later. It's been exactly 1 year since I married the love of my life, without my parents in the room. 1 year since they decided that skipping our wedding was the same as declaring war on our entire bloodline. 1 year of trying everything, manipulation, CPS, courts, threats, flamingos, lies, alchemy, all to take our son and teach us a lesson for having a child-free wedding. And now, it's finally over. Let me tell you how we won. We pushed hard, through our lawyer, to get the restraining order enforced. Which is a fancy way of saying we paid him to get it done fast. Which means he probably had to buy an expensive bottle of wine for a judge to look at our case early. Which also means, none of that happened. Because the legal system doesn't work that way. We waited. Like everyone else. But hey, that version sounded cooler. Here's what really happened. We filed for a permanent restraining order, not just for me and my wife, but also for our son, until he turns 18. Sorry, kid. Once you're 18, you're on your own. You'll have to get your own order if you want one. The hearing was 3 months ago. We came in loaded, documentation in hand, legal folders so shiny they looked like props from a rap video. The judge granted it, immediately. A full, permanent restraining order. Zero contact. They are now legally banned from coming within 150 meters of us, our home, the daycare, the pediatrician's office, and a pizza place of my choosing. My son doesn't go to that pizza place. But I do. And I thought it might come in handy. If they send us mail. If they show up at his school someday. If they try to contact anyone on our behalf. If they watch a Netflix series at night and spoil the ending for my son, who then spoils it for me. They will be arrested. We changed our numbers. We moved. We got our son a new pediatrician in a completely different part of the city. Only 6 people know where we live, and they would lay down their lives for our safety. All it takes is one call, and they'll fly to the nearest airport and crash a plane into my parents' house. Take that, commenter who mocked me for not getting a flamethrower. Hi. My son just turned 8 months old. He crawls, laughs at the dog, babbles "dada" like it's the only word that matters in the world, and hums Baby Shark. Please don't tell my wife. He sleeps curled up on my chest like a tiny question mark. He loves sweet potato puree. He hates diaper changes. And let me tell you, it's hard to reason with an 8-month-old who wants sweet potato puree but desperately needs a clean diaper. My wife, God, my wife. She's the strongest person I've ever known. She never let fear win. She never let my parents' cruelty break her. And now, she's thriving. She looks more radiant than ever. The 3 of us go on walks every evening. We dance in the kitchen. We read silly bedtime stories with ridiculous voices. He'll have to remember all those things when he eventually finds out who showed him Baby Shark. And yes, I know that day is coming. My time is limited. If you're reading this, son, I want you to remember every time I told you, I love you. If you don't worry. I've been keeping count. Update 6, The Silence and the Sister. We haven't heard much from my sister. And now, reading back through my old posts, I realize I barely mentioned her. But before I dive into that, my wife thinks my parents drove past our house with the windows down, blasting the Baby Shark song at full volume. She's convinced it was part of the psychological warfare, a biochemical revenge attack. Bomb defused. I can breathe again. Small edit, minor interruption in my update. My wife wants me to clarify. Yes, she knows it was me who showed him the Baby Shark video. Yes, it's my fault, it's the only thing he wants to hear now. Also, yes, I've had extra diaper shifts this past month as punishment. She's always ruining the fun. Making me look bad in front of my Reddit friends. Anyway, back to my sister. Let's forget my public shaming. While we were going through all of this, including her false report, she was tangled up in her own mess with CPS. Because of her own investigation, she lost custody of her kids. Now, I know I usually joke a lot in these posts, and before anyone says anything. Yes, I will keep joking. Because this one has a happy ending. While my parents were trying, and failing, to take my child, my sister was fighting not to lose hers, and by extension, not to lose them for my parents too. The kids were removed from the home and placed in a specialized care facility for handling demons. It's run by our cousin. The acronym doesn't match anything logical, but we just call it Prima, Spanish for cousin. I tried for hours to come up with something that fit. Closest I got was Centro Orientativo de Uranio Sintetizado. Didn't even finish the rest. But it doesn't matter. The point is, the blessings that made Chucky look like a well-behaved child are now being supervised by our cousin. Context. She's married. No kids. Would love to have some. And most importantly, she's not my sister. And this isn't temporary. It's permanent. At least for the next 5 years. Hopefully long enough for her to return them a little reformed. Let's just pray it's enough to keep my sister from screwing them up again. It's going to take one hell of a reformation. As for my parents, we've only heard one thing from them. Silence. That's what a restraining order sounds like. And it's beautiful. I wonder how much it would cost to have it performed by a philharmonic orchestra. Then again, I also wonder how much it would cost for them to play Baby Shark. Nope. Never mind. That song is cursed. I've changed too many dirty diapers already. Better to let it go. Just like I'm letting go of this post. But what won't go away is that song, playing in your head at 1 a.m. Baby Shark, do 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 do.